Hey guys, welcome to the 7th episode of Clappy and Frank. I'm looking forward to not counting. We'll just be like in the hundreds of episodes. We won't have to say this number episode. We'll just say it on the title. But today we have a fabulous guest. The only Hasidic Orthodox Jew to ever work in Fox. He worked here for 13 years. Worked for Governor Pataki. And he runs the most biggest successful Pesach hotel in the world.
Go that far, but
Not the biggest?
no, it's a good program.
It's not the biggest amount of guests?
No, definitely not.
Are you from the top three?
I won an award for being the highest rated in one of the newspapers in New Jersey, but I wouldn't say I'm the biggest.
You're the top three. 1,200 guests?
No, there's bigger.
The place
We're
that I
big.
work
It's a big
for-
program. There's
the
over
place-
1,000 guests, but no,
I think the place I work for has more people. Could be.
no,
Not?
I doubt it. He can't hold as many as me. I don't think. No, I think he caps out at about 850, 900.
No, I was there. We had 1,100 people last
So
year.
then he had more than I did last year.
Okay.
Last year I was at
You're not even-
962.
Clap, you're not even mentioning them.
Well,
No,
You should mention them if you work for them. I have no.
Or if he wants to build
I'll
a-
mention them. He works for FFH. Very nice people run it.
amazing.
Levi Fagenson, Alyssa Feldman. They're in the Catskills, and people love going there.
Top
And
program.
it's very well, and it's very, very well priced too.
Bruce, how'd you end up with a Pesach hotel?
Oh God, I don't know. It's a long story.
Tell us the story.
Is there a story? I mean, I was doing a lot of volunteer work years ago for Chabad, for the Jewish Learning Institute. I made friends with a caterer, Isaac Greenwald in Lakewood, and we started a program together years ago. We since broke off, but it started off very small. My first program was Vermont at 220 guests. I don't think it made any money, but people really liked it. And, all these years later, it grew to something different, not in Vermont. It's in other parts of the country.
Good business or no? You think it's a business that Jewish boys should get into?
I used to say it's the business you go into and you're lo yitzlich and everything else. I don't think it's a business you... I love it. I like the hospitality part. I like the hotel part. I like the tourism part. I like everything about it. It's a good complement to who I am and what I like to do. What I tell people to go into it, it's a very risky business. I mean, if you're looking to make a lot of money, don't do this. I mean,
It's a very alluring, though.
you could make a lot of money. There's guys who make a lot of money, and then you can also lose a lot of money. There's tremendous risk involved in this business. There's ups, there's downs, you're dependent on market conditions and weather and the price of airfare. And I mean, there's just a million different variables. I mean, if you're looking to make money, it's like the restaurant business. It's very lucrative, it's very sexy, but then at a certain point, it's very risky. Lots of restaurants open and lots of restaurants close. To be a long-lasting restaurant, to be in business many years, like Le Marais, which is a kosher steakhouse in the city, that's not easy. I mean, it's very unique to last that long. In the Pesach business, I think you could last a little longer if you have a good product, but it's a very tough business. I love doing it. Don't get me wrong. When I'm in the midst of it, I enjoy it very much. But I would never advise anybody to stop what they're doing if they had something successful going on elsewhere.
They say Bruce would volunteer to do it. Is that true?
The joke I tell people is that you don't book rooms through me because if you do, you won't pay. So everything goes through my wife, Baruch Hashem, thank God, and she makes sure that people pay. Because if you deal with me, I mean, I'm a sucker for anything and everything. I mean, my old assistant secretary many years ago used to have a rule that you're not allowed to call me. And then if someone would get a hold of me and call me, she would actually call people and reprimand them. She was like, "You can't call him. Why did you call him? Don't call him." And then, because then the problem starts. And then they tell me about all their issues and their family and somebody's sick and they lost their job and they need to go away. And, I'm a sucker for a lot of that stuff. Yeah, my wife always says it's a Pesach hotel. This isn't a Shabbos food order with challahs over here. You don't have to go here. I mean, there's other places to go. Regular people who can't afford to go to Passover programs don't go to Passover programs. They stay home. I view it a little differently. I think there's a lot of people where going to a Passover program is vital. I always say there's all different kinds of people who go to a program. You have very wealthy families, multi-generational families. There's one invoice, there's a wealthy grandparent or somebody in the family paying the bill for 30, 40, 50 people or more. And then you have the other family, mom, dad, 3 kids, both work. Kids are home from yeshiva. It's the only time everybody's off from school. They save up all year. It's very hard for them to make Pesach. Either they live in a small home, they don't have the space. It's the only time they get away. Mom can't really manage making Pesach, cleaning the house, and keeping her job. Same thing with dad. and they save for it. It's their one luxury that they put money behind every year to do. And all those people are in your programs. I see it now. I have guests who are, they'll squash 5 people in one room, and then I have people who spread out, and the way they pay is different. And, they'll write one check. The other people are paying piecemeal, as they have money. It's a varied mix. For some people, I have a friend whose wife, when they come to America, they live overseas, they fly business class. And I'm like, you fly business class? You, your wife, the kids? He says it's a necessity. My wife is scared of flying, and we have to come back to America to see family, and in Canada or wherever, and we need to fly business class. My wife will not go on a plane if we're not in business class because she can't. It's too hard for her. She's scared. She's a nervous flyer to start with. She doesn't like being claustrophobic in small spaces. She has the kids on the plane, so when they have excess money, it goes into a fund that pays to fly business class. So somebody's luxury isn't always such a luxury. Like everybody has their, I wouldn't call it like desires and like taivas per se. Some people really, some people really need to do these things. I know some people that if they had to make, I've spoken to men before, husbands who tell me, my wife cannot make Pesach. Like, try to work with me on price. Try to find a way for us to come. She cannot make Pesach. It's too stressful for her. She doesn't want.
That's exactly what happened to me.
Correct.
The year after COVID, I thought I was going to go away. It didn't work out. And I was coming home from work at 8, 9 o'clock at night, schlepping up Kalem after putting all the kids to sleep. My back was hurting. Mm-hmm. All my storage is like 3 basements below, walking up 4 flights of steps, no elevator. And like in the middle of taking my back hurting, bringing up the 15th box, I stopped and I swore I will never make Pesach again at home. Never again.
Yeah, and no matter what, you make sure you find the money somehow, whatever you have to do to make sure you go away.
Right.
So there's people like this. I deal with those families. I mean, there's different price ranges and programs, don't get me wrong, but there are people they're old people, old couples. This is a classic. They cannot make Pesach.
Why don't they go to their kids?
What? Sometimes it's not an option. Sometimes the kids aren't from. I've had guests over the years where the children, they had one child. The child, for whatever reason, is not keeping anything. They don't have where to go.
Bruce, I want to just put me and Clappy in a certain category that we've been and go to Pesach programs, and we find creative ways. Clappy sells the aliyahs. He's the debt collector for the aliyahs. I did art fairs, art shows, counselors, head counselors.
I'm the MC of the whole program.
MC of the whole program. So the interesting thing about the Frum hotels, that there's a lot of ways to get your foot in the door, right?
Sure.
Counselors,
I got a call today.
Mashtichim.
Do you need a chazan? Do you need this? Do you need that? Sometimes I take, sometimes I don't. I mean, it has to work for me. It has to work for me. Like, because once the door opens, I mean, believe me, I get calls. Somebody, and if you get to me on the right day at the right time, in the olden days, before I had gatekeepers, I mean, there was stuff in the hotel, and there were people there, and a bookkeeper will come to me. He's like, he hasn't paid yet? I'm like, no, it's a complex situation. He says, he's not going to pay you. He's going to leave, and he will not answer the phone. I said, yeah, but they have a situation, and I don't want to advertise this where my phone's going to blow up all of a sudden. It's like the Chesed Pesach program. But there are unique cases. I learned that from Isaac Greenwald. Isaac was very much like that when we first started out. We got a call from Chai Lifeline years ago. There was a family, and there was a boy who was at Mass General doing some very, very, complex surgeries from Israel, and they needed somewhere to go. And I remember I spoke to Chai Lifeline at the time. They called me, and I said, I'll give a break for this because it was a crazy circumstance. The child was having this surgery. There's only one surgeon in the world who does it. The entire family came from Eretz Yisrael. They didn't have the ability to make Pesach. The boy was going back and forth in the hospital on Yom Tif, and I happened to be in Cape Cod, which was only about 90 minutes to an hour and 10 minutes from the hospital. In Massachusetts, Boston Children's is the premier children's hospital probably in the world, and the family called me and. I said, I'm open to it. I said, but you have to be, I told Chalav, you have to be mishtatif in the mitzvah. You have to contribute to the mitzvah. I said, I'm not in the position where I can comp a family of mom, dad, and 9 children. But I'm open to making it so it's more tolerable. And we did. And and this was a family from Bnei Brak. They didn't really speak English. They spoke Hebrew and Yiddish. It was like an ultra-Orthodox family, and they were in here. There's people who do amazing things, and they brought this family to America. They brought this family from, was it Chai Lifeline or Rofe? I don't want to misspeak. I don't remember. I don't want to be specific on the organization, but it was an organization that helps families. They reached out to me. And I remember Mr. Greenwald said in situations like this, you have to try to make it work if you can. If there's a will, it was very close to Pesach. I had the rooms, so it wasn't like I was displacing anything, and we worked something out with them.
Want to jump to the mayor elections, Coffee?
I'm going to get to the elections in a minute, but one last question. I know in my private life, in my personal businesses, a lot of the times there's like 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 different orders from different customers, and I have to do certain customer service related things, and I have to get packages out, and something needs monogramming and engraving, and one guy he's on vacation, needs me to ship it for a date. And like when I have too many things going on, I get very stressed. And like a lot of times my wife helps me out getting the orders done. A Pesach program has literally 1,000 moving parts. And I know you're going to say that you give out some of the things to this project manager, this gatekeeper, this director. In general, the most complex thing is having 500 or 800 Jews for 10 days under one roof.
1,200 Jews.
With a million. How do you handle stress?
How do I handle stress?
This type of stress.
I'm very good on game day. So leading up to game day, I'm a nervous wreck. But on game day, when I'm in the game, I'm very cool. Because all the work is done before. Really good, now getting to operations. Really good operators, and there are many of them. I'm not the only person who's a good operator. My program is Pesach in the Southeast. This year we're in Houston at Margaritaville. I should give it a plug once I'm here.
Weren't you in Atlanta many years?
We move. No more Atlanta. Baruch Hashem, I have an amazing hotel with amazing space, incredible facilities. I'm going to plug it if I'm here. We have a water park. We have splash pads. We have a golf course. I'm on a lake. I have boating. Every room is a suite. So no matter what you book, you get 2 rooms for the price of 1. You have a living room and a bedroom. You have views. The weather's nice. It's easy to get to. It's a short drive from the airport. It's on grounds. It's an amazing property. I know anybody who comes, it's a huge upgrade for my guests. And for
what
anybody
percent of the people come for you? And
a lot come for me. I mean, come for me, come for us. It's not me. There's like a whole team of people. It's not just me. But as far as the secret to running a good Pesach program, it's very good planning, very good people, and I'm taking credit for something. I am a very good delegator. I know how to delegate. I know how to give people jobs. I will give anybody who works for me a lot of rope to hang themselves. And then if they hang themselves, they won't work for me anymore. But most people who work around me and work with me, I'm really hands off. Like I want them to own their jobs. So if you're doing, like a lot of the staff I have been with me for over 10 years. If you work for me or you work with me, I don't like the word for. We work together. It's a team. But if you work with me, you're responsible for you. Like I was just having a call today with Jason Greenfest, who runs the back of house in the program. He's the most important key in running the program as far as all of the food and the way the things get set up and broken down. I mean, he's taking care of all that stuff. He's in charge. He has a huge staff under him. And he was talking about how to serve this and what time we should serve that. And I said to him many times on the call, I said, do what you want. He's like, what do you mean? I said, well, do what you want. He said, but you're the boss. I said, I am the boss, but I'm listening to you. I hire you. I trust you. If you tell me it should be done a certain way, let's try your way. I don't have a specific way. I have a vision of how it should be, and I'll poke that in there, but I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. I mean, if I wanted to tell you to do your job, then I would do your job. You didn't hire you to do your job. I work in big companies over the years, and I see that people who run companies well don't micromanage. Micromanaging is stupid because what ends up happening is that the person who micromanages takes on too much responsibility. So while he may be really good at every different part of the program, he physically can't do it. So if he's not ready to fargin some of it, I mean, it's only going to lead to problems. I always say that if you want to run a good program, I have to wake up in the morning on Pesach with nothing to do. Like, I remember someone told me, you have nothing to do? I have nothing to do today. It's the first day of the program. I have nothing to do. My job is to put out fires. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. You need help here. You need help there. Tell me what you want. And I'll do it. I'm very hands-on. But I can't be busy with something because the second I have a responsibility that has to get done in a program of 1,200 plus people, then when a problem arises, whatever I was responsible to do is not going to get done. So then I have a new problem. So theoretically, every different responsibility in the program has to have someone who's responsible for it. And then my job is to interject, intercede, to fix, to help, to ameliorate. And that's pretty much how I try to make the chain of command throughout the program, is that everybody who works for me then has underlings under them. So it's expensive to do things this way. But it has to be done this way if you want it to be done properly.
Is it funny for you to work all year round in a media company as a whatever mid-level
Yeah.
executive, then one day you're the boss. Is that like a weird change for you?
No,
You
I like
in
both.
and out?
You can be. I tell you, you can have diverse interests. A person could like writing and like sports and be an artist and be good at math. I mean, there's no rule. People are complex. They're made. Look at you. You know, you work.
Wait a second.
No, but I'm saying, like, look at.
He works in a
Clappy.
retail store.
He works in retail. He sells unique Judaica pieces and cool artifacts, which are, you have to kind of be an expert in those things to sell them. You can't just say, oh, this is really cool, buy it. You have to kind of know what you're selling.
Podcaster.
And then you're a podcaster and you're giving commentary. But I'm saying that's a pretty diverse range of skill sets. Well, I mean, we always limit. One of the problems in the 40-hour work week culture is that you take a person and you limit him to one thing. And most people are much more talented than one thing. They can do lots of things. You could be a good athlete, and you can be an attorney, and you can be painting on your free time, and you're an artist, or you're this, or you're that. People have ranges of talents and skill sets, and sometimes I find, like, in the traditional work mode, we limit people, and limiting their creativity leads to a lot. Put them in a box also leads to depression, and a lot of other stuff goes along with it.
Let's get right into the election.
We're 7 days away.
I told you a month ago.
We're 7 days away from the scariest election as somebody that's 39 years old living in New York City.
Mm-hmm.
We're from, again, hopefully the polls are all wrong. In the way I'm looking at the numbers, it looks like Zoran Mamdani is 1,000% going to win. He's going to be the next mayor of New York City. I personally look at him as a radical socialist communist that has terrible, terrible policies towards Eretz Yisrael, towards Israel, talking about arresting Netanyahu if he lands in New York, and many, many other crazy radical things about him. And I don't see a path to victory for anybody else, especially because Curtis Lewa is not dropping out. I don't even think he could drop out anymore because
I mean, he could
his name
shut
is on
down
the ballot.
his campaign. Everything's in reality. I take the race differently. I think Cuomo's really close. I don't think he's as far behind as everybody says. I think if the vote turnout's really strong, it's going to be really close. I think Sliwa, if he starts getting to single digits, may really start to finally rethink getting out of the race. The Suffolk University poll that just came out today has him at 11%, had Cuomo down by 10. There's a margin of error of +4, -4. I mean, one could comfortably argue right now, and you have to understand that polls are a snapshot in time. They're always behind. Polls are not ahead. They're not predictors. They're telling you where people were yesterday and 2 days ago. My personal opinion is it's a very, very close race. It's not a walk in the park for Mamdani. I think his people know it. I told you a month ago that there's a scenario by which I see this race getting closer. I have a friend who I talk to regularly about politics. I told him a month ago exactly what was going to happen. I said 2 weeks out, there's going to start to be movement towards Cuomo. The question is there going to be enough movement toward Cuomo? If Sliwa leaves the race, obviously it helps. If he stops campaigning, it helps. If he says he realizes he's not going to win and he allows people who support him to go for Cuomo, it's going to help. But that aside, the movement is to Cuomo. The momentum is to Cuomo now. Now the question is in 1 week, is there enough time to catch up? The city of Mamdani has never, and I've worked in politics for many years, and I've read polls, and I had the privilege of working for Arthur Finkelstein, who I still consider to be the greatest political consultant of the last century when I was younger. Polls are a snapshot in time. They don't tell you the whole picture, but they show trends. And there's movement. Just like I told people when I was reading the polls before the primary that Mamdani was going to win when, the poly-market idiots were like, no, he's not. Cuomo's going to win. I said all the trend lines are going Mamdani's way. Now I see the trend lines going Cuomo's way. Cuomo's closing. It's going his way now. Now the question is there enough time? The movement is towards Cuomo. Mamdani had a big bungle last week on Friday with this whole thing with his aunt, his cousin, that whole crap.
The 9/11 story.
Yeah, but it was a lie. I mean, he didn't have to do that. Beyond the fact that he kind of made his aunt the greatest casualty of 9/11, which she was not, or this mythical person that probably doesn't exist, okay? Beyond that he did that, because you know what? Because he's a fraud. He's always been a fraud. He's never done anything. He's not qualified. He's a Marxist. He's a loser, okay? He's a loser who got lucky. You ever look at a guy who became very wealthy and he made a lot of money and you talk to him and he's an idiot? Sometimes it's just luck. I mean, the guy got lucky. The luck's starting to run out. That was a mistake. He shouldn't have done that stupid story. He made it up, pissed people off. It pissed off people who lived through 9/11. It pissed off people who genuinely are concerned about Islamophobia with this made-up story about a hijab on the subway. I mean, is there anybody who wears a hijab who's scared to go on the subway in New York? I mean, what is he even talking about? His aunt told him he was 9. I mean, what is he making up this crap? No, he's a liar. He's always been a liar. He's a fraud. He's been saying crazy stuff about Jews, crazy stuff about Israel, crazy stuff about New York, crazy stuff about business owners, crazy ideas like decriminalizing prostitution. I didn't mean it, decriminalize it. Like everything with him is all over the place, is all crap. Okay? It's pure crap. He's a big pile of, I don't want to say what. And that's what he says, and that's what he does. And at a certain point, it catches up with you. You can't run around forever, okay? And run a campaign on nothing, promising stupid things which aren't reasonable, which you can't do, and eventually don't expect it to catch up with you. Everybody's like, oh, he ran such a good campaign. Until he doesn't. Home run hitters strike out. Guys who pitch perfect games give up 10 runs next day. I mean, it may be catching up with him the whole show. I mean, he's run a really good campaign. He's gotten really lucky. And Cuomo's ran a really bad campaign. But then all of a sudden, in any sport, when you watch this, somehow the team who wasn't really doing very well wins, and the guy who was ahead loses, and everybody's like, what happened? Well, what happened is that there's only 7 days. That's the only concern I have. If this election had another 2 weeks, I think Cuomo for sure would catch him. Question is there enough time between now and Election Day? And the movement's Cuomo's way. If he's down 11, if he's down 10 today, in 3 days he could be down 7, 8. By the weekend, he could be down by 5. And when he's down by 4, 5, or 6, he's within the margin of error. And when he's within the margin of error, it's all game. On top of that, the polls are basing on how many expected voters they're having. The big elections in New York had 2 million voters, right? But in a presidential election in New York, we have 2.7, 2.8, sometimes close to 3. 3 million voters show up on Election Day. Zohar Mamdani is not winning this thing, okay? I know for a fact that he doesn't have that many supporters in New York. Sliwa or no Sliwa. If every Jewish kid in Flatbush and Borough Park and Williamsburg is going to vote, if all the people who are normally sitting on their hands and saying it's a foregone conclusion get up and vote. My father-in-law, they're older people. They're older than, it's not easy. They're going to the polls. They will make themselves to the polls. It's that important. And then you have to wonder how motivated his people are. Do they think it's a foregone conclusion? I mean, these aren't the most reliable human beings in New York, his voters. I mean, what's his ad I saw? Rabbis for him? They're not rabbis, these people. One of them is a transgender ex-Satmar. Another one is an anti-Israel activist. Like, if you're going to get rabbis, get rabbis. Like, don't get these women up there. I mean, nobody thinks they're rabbis. Who wants these people? Like, somebody in my office sent me a vote. He says, who are these people? I wrote back, they are not rabbis, okay? They say 4 Jewish, allegedly maybe Jewish women for him who live in the village. Fine. Rabbis? I know what a rabbi is. Most people in New York know what a rabbi is. Those are not rabbis. I don't care what they say they are. They're rabbis, and I don't know what I am. I'm the president of the universe. I mean, ridiculous. And he has these people are so out to touch that they take those people and they put them on TV thinking that people think they're rabbis. So who are those people for? Because nobody I know what a rabbi is thinks those people are rabbis. And I don't care what those women are upset when I say this, because it's the truth. I mean, the rabbis, based on what? Wearing jeans and like, if you're going to be a rabbi, maybe dress up like a rabbi. Wear something respectable. Not the T-shirt standing in Wall Street. Like, make it look like you take it seriously. But it's a joke. I mean, the whole thing's a joke. His Rosh Hashanah greeting was a joke. It's not real. It's not genuine. Where he said that when the police department gets tough on you, it's like the IDF. When he protests outside of Schumer's office for being pro-Israel. I mean, the litany of stuff this guy has done towards Jews in the city of New York is off the charts. So you come back to the point. Is he going to win? It looks that way. But I'm telling anybody who's listening, which is the reason I wanted to do this, vote. Go out, vote. This is not a foregone conclusion. There's more of us than there is of them, and I know it, and everybody knows it. He's never broken 45% in the polls, 46. He's always hovering in the mid-40s. I think those numbers are inflated. He only got 500, 600,000 votes in the primary, whatever it was. We're going into a general. If there's 3 million voters show up on this election day, which isn't impossible, I'm in my heart of hearts, and for the Sliwa voters, I understand Cuomo. I don't like Andrew Cuomo. I fought Andrew Cuomo when he was doing the COVID mandate stuff. But, there are those moments where there's a difference between your political opponents and your enemies, and you have to be realistic about this. If Elliot Cosgrove, the conservative rabbi, and Emil Hirsch, the Reform rabbi at the Stephen Wise Free Synagogue, which is a Reform synagogue or temple, whatever it is on the Upper West Side, and then you have Elliot Cosgrove at the Park Avenue Synagogue, which is the most prominent conservative synagogue in the United States.
Hey guys, here I am with our sponsor today, Adventure Park, Area 53. Really cool arcades here before it opened, so these really cool climbing things. Wow, super cool. With these really tall slides. What is that? Almost 2-3 flights tall. And then we have this really cool 4-slide jumping. Really nice. Right here in Brooklyn. Probably the biggest of its kind. It's huge. Ceilings are super tall. And it's a lot of fun. Local here in Brooklyn, in Williamsburg. Area 53 Adventures Park. And then they have other locations as well in Dumbo. And opening a new one in Dumbo. Also Ferox in Greenpoint, also in Brooklyn. Yeah, all in Brooklyn. Like these are like out of New York size entertainment centers in the middle of New York City. Great for birthday parties, corporate events, and I will drop a 15% code off if you mention the Clappy Frank Show. Really cool. Anyway, come check it out. A full roller skating rink option situation. I was wondering what that there was. This is a self-guided tour. Also, they do have kosher food. Look at the little OG fish. They do have some kosher food items as well. Check them out. Great people.
What about that Buchdal rabbi lady?
Oh, that's not
Who's she voting for?
I don't know. She's everybody's trying to play it. They want to play it. So if he wins, maybe we can get into him.
Hold on, an emergency question. This is not an interruption. This is an emergency question.
Sorry to go on.
Are the Satmars voting for Zoran Mamdani? Are they playing the
It's
game?
all a game.
They're inviting him into the sukkah, pretending they like him.
It's a game, but listen. Unfortunately, communities like Satmar. I'm not defending Moshe Indig what he did. I think that he needed to stand firm against it, because if Elliot Cosgrove at the conservative synagogue on the Park Avenue can stand, he could also. I think he knows better. There's a story with the Satmar Rebbe. There was a person who came for endorsements years ago. 2 candidates went to the Satmar Rebbe, and the Gaboyim were with the Satmar Rebbe. And they asked us, and one of them was very not a fan of Israel, and the other one was. And they asked for the endorsement of the Satmar Rebbe, and Satmar is, at the very least, anti-Zionist. I wouldn't say they're anti-Israel, but they're not into Zionism as a culture. I don't know where they all hold today. I know they're not with Palestinians, Palestinian activists in their hearts. I mean, Naturi Karta aside, which is just people who need to go to the hospital. No, they do. They're not well. I feel very bad for them. I look at them and like, Nebuch, they're sick people. But they have a religious thing. Rabbi Yoel had some concerns. I'm not, Rabbi Yoel was also saved by the Zionists. He wouldn't be alive today. He wouldn't have gotten on the train. He wouldn't have gotten on the train if he didn't cut a deal with the they made this, he wouldn't have made it on the train. There was a whole thing.
I guess you don't have any Satmar hotel clients. It doesn't sound like it.
I'm not against Satmar. I like Satmar very much. I'm just saying, it's more complex than that. It's not so simple. It's not that simple. But I understand. You're invested in New York, your infrastructure in New York, your schools in New York, your yeshivas in New York, your business in New York. You live in New York. You've been here for many years. You're not planning on going anywhere. Israel is not on the target places if you're escaping from anti-Semitism. You're very invested in New York City, in your communities. So you have to make deals sometimes with the devil. I mean, but let's be realistic. Zohar Mamdani is the devil. He's the devil. I don't care if he smiles and he's charming and he laughs with a little weird shtick he puts on, but he's the devil. He is the devil.
For
the Jewish community in New York to a city which is the most important Jewish community in the world, including in Israel, okay? There's more Jews in Israel than there is in Jerusalem and Tel Aviv combined.
There's more people in New York.
Jewish people in New York.
There's more Jews in New York than there are in Jerusalem?
Yes,
I don't know the numbers.
there is.
How many Jews are in New York?
Tri-state is probably 2 million. And then New York City itself, probably 1 million. I mean, we're taking into account everybody, the full breadth of all different religious affiliations.
A Jew is a Jew.
It's probably 1 million Jews. The old number I used to go by is that 50% of New York is, let's say, Caucasian, and about, what's the number? 12 or 13% of New York City is Jewish. If 50% of New York is Jewish, that means that roughly 1 in every 3 white people in New York City is Jewish or in some capacity.
Wow.
Yes, this is a very Jewish city. And the fact that New York City would elect somebody who is so antagonistic towards Jewish causes. You know, I don't like the separation between Israel and Judaism and Zionism, this new crap distinction. Everybody knows full well when you're attacking Zionism, you're attacking Jews. Nobody makes a distinction. Tucker Carlson and all his ilk, they move the words between Zionism and Jews very liberally. So when people start to get into this distinction stuff, I know it's a lie. Okay, it's not real. But you know, Satmar is very invested here. So now they're like, okay, this guy's up. He's going to win. We need things. We need special ed services for our kids, our schools, transportation. We need stuff. We're not going anywhere, at least not now. So we're going to have to hold our nose, and we'll have to try to have relations with him.
How did we get here? Based on everything you just said, that a crazy high number of people in New York City are Jewish.
We got here for a lot of reasons. I mean, the Democratic Party's moving left. You know, a war in Israel over the last little while hasn't helped. You know, pictures aren't really good, whether they're true, they're not true. You know, I'm of the opinion that a lot of what's said on the left is a pure lie. I mean, you know, listen, war is hell. Harry Truman used to say, people die in war. It's not fun. I don't want Palestinians to die. I don't want children in Gaza to die. I don't want October 7th. I don't want any of it. But unfortunately, you know, when there's a war, people are going to die. I mean, there's really no other way to fight a war against an enemy that's going for your destruction. People who are telling Israel not to do this, they don't really have anything better to offer. They're like, don't do this. Do what? They came in, you know, you watch those videos. I've seen some of the pictures. I had the privilege of seeing some of it. You can't sleep at night after looking at the stuff that was done on October.
I try not to look.
No, but there's like stuff that was never even released that I had access to. And, you know, it's bad. So you tell people, oh, no, we'll just do nothing. I mean, it's a war. You know, it's a war. It's a real war. There are casualties in war. I'm sure innocent, quote unquote, people are killed in war on both sides. A lot of innocent Israelis get killed when there's a war. Innocent Palestinians, however many there are, get killed. But I mean, you know, the Israelis are also fighting against people who don't really value human life. So it's as a movement. So it's a little bit more of a complex war to fight. I mean, they're happy to get the casualties up because they think it's going to help them long term from a political perspective. But going back to Satmar, which I don't want to digress from, they have to make a deal. They have to protect themselves. But I would argue that holding your head firm and standing tall and saying, I don't accept this, is as or more effective down the road. I think it's important for Jewish people to say there are lines and there are people we will not meet, we will not talk to under these circumstances, because, you know, there's a righteousness to our cause too. And to bring a person into a sukkah. So the Satmar Rebbe story is, you go back to the Satmar Rebbe. I don't know all the details, the specifics, but the story goes, the two candidates were asking for support. One was anti-Israel, one was pro-Israel. The Satmar Rebbe ended up endorsing the pro-Israel candidate. And the Gaboyim allegedly asked the Satmar Rebbe, and they said, this candidate's, all he did was talk about Israel. I mean, we're not Zionistic over here. I'm paraphrasing. And the Satmar Rebbe said, when a non-Jewish person is against Eretz Yisrael, when against Israel, it's not because he's a Satmar Chassid. And it's a very important line to make clear. When a non-Jewish person in New York makes Israel a centerpiece of his campaign, listen, there are politicians who pander to the Jews and talk about Israel all the time also. I'm not saying that should or shouldn't happen. But that's a way of telling the Jewish community, whether it's right or wrong, that we support you, we're with you, we understand you. The inverse is also true. When you make that a cornerstone issue, it's a way of saying we don't really like Israel and we probably don't really like you. Muzar Mamdani can surround himself with leftist Jews like the ones he does, but they're not representative of anything or anybody. Maybe in their own little pockets of the four ladies, these four rabbi ladies on the street, maybe they got some friends. But the vast majority of Jews I know in New York City are not interested.
Bruce, what's your opinion about, as a political established media guy for so many years, what's your opinion about poly markets? Are they more real or less real than traditional polling?
I mean, they said Cuomo was going to win, and then when Cuomo won, they said Mamdani's going to win. I mean, it's a lot of people have nothing to do with their money. I mean, they're busy betting on they're busy sports. Now they bet on this. So I don't view the poly market as that indicative of anything.
It's a zero value.
It's people's opinions. I mean, I'm one of those guys that looks at trend lines and polls. I think that there's some science behind it. I think the poly market it's an indicator. It's you can write about it. But I mean, I definitely know that the trend lines are moving in Cuomo's direction. Cuomo's picked up, 6 to 7% in the last couple of weeks. I mean, it's going his way, and trends is what you want to follow. I would imagine if a poll's run again in 3 days, it's going to continue to move his way. The question is there enough time to close the gap?
What actual powers does the mayor have? So let's say Mamdani wins. What does it mean? He could start blowing up synagogues? What does
I
it
always
mean
ask the question about the Israel Day Parade. For many years, Israel Day Parade is one of the centerpiece Jewish events in New York City. Jewish kids from all of the tri-state area, especially schools in New York, but even outside in New Jersey and Long Island and Connecticut, they all come in for the day to go to this parade. They march up Fifth Avenue. Their parents come, and then there's a big concert, I think, after in Central Park. And everybody participates. Lubavitchers, while they don't march in the parade, they go to the parade and they put tefillin on with people. There's all different. Everybody's involved. It's a very special Jewish event. Brings people together.
Great
It's
event.
one where you have Orthodox and Reform and Conservative, and they all come together for the day. And it doesn't matter their religious, practice. They get together on this thing. For years, there's never really been any riots or protests on that day. And I know that if you don't like Israel and you're not a fan of Jews, it's not a day you're so interested when they close down Fifth Avenue. Will Mamdani march in that parade? Probably not. Would a Mayor Mamdani guarantee the same police protections that the Jewish kids whose parents are sending their children to Manhattan to march on a street on a Sunday? Are they going to have the same protections that they would have had otherwise? He's an opponent to the state of Israel. He's for protest. He was not in favor of shutting down the protests at Columbia, which were a danger to Jewish students there and other schools. So how are protests on that day, which the four rabbi ladies, whatever these, or people, let's call them people. The four people, because I think they're trans, some of them are not, they're non-binary or whatever they want to call themselves. The four people are going to have protests also, and there may be some Palestinian protests and leftist protests and DSA protests and all these other crazy protests. I mean, will there be adequate police protection for the Jewish kids from our high schools and elementary schools in that parade? Will it be safe to march in that parade? Now, when Mayor Adams was mayor, when Mayor Giuliani was mayor, even when Mayor de Blasio was mayor, you had to guarantee that your children were safe that day. On that day, will your children still be safe? I don't know. I know that he did not favor closing down the protests at Columbia that were dangerous to Jewish students there. So it begs the question, are we going to be safe? Are we going to have the same police protection for our events and our communities in New York? Will Palestinian protesters be given special protections? Listen, synagogues were given, will we get the same rights that we got before?
Bruce,
it's a matter of agenda.
How Muslim is Mamdani? I mean, in practice,
to my knowledge, he's more of I always told you this before. He's more of a Marxist than a Muslim to me. Marxism is much scarier to me than Islam. I have no problem with people who are Muslim or Islamic, but Marxists I have a problem with, because Marxists are a danger to the American way of life. I mean, they are. I mean, I'm not looking for McCarthy trials over here, but Marxism is incompatible with American life.
Being in traditional media, mainstream media for so long, being the only Orthodox.
Not the only, there's others. I don't
Hasidic,
want to say only.
The only Hasidic.
There could be others too. Just because I have a beard?
The beard, yeah. Only bearded Hasidic.
Who knows?
Jew
You know
media.
the story with the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe,
No.
with the woman Caroline Bloomberg in Montreal.
No.
She was a big donor to the yeshiva, and she went to the previous Rebbe for a blessing. This was in the 40s. My grandparents were very involved in the yeshiva in Montreal. And she was a very wealthy philanthropist in a time, and she was giving. And the previous Rebbe says to her, throws blessings on her for her country. In those years, to give money to Lubavitch in the 40s wasn't that common. And the previous Rebbe was blessing her. And at a certain point, she said, stop, Rebbe, enough with the blessings. I'm not frum. I'm not religious. And the previous Rebbe says, who knows who's frum? So when you say who's Hasidic, who's frum, the label's not fair. I don't know what people aren't. I don't like to... with a beard looks the way I do, perhaps. But there's lots of Orthodox people who may be Hasidic in different components of media, and I don't want to just leave them out.
I have two questions. How does traditional mainstream media look at Hasidic Jews, and how do they see you as someone in a corporate media?
I don't know how they see me.
They don't know how to see you.
I mean, I
look
look
as
the
the
way I
ambassador?
look. I mean, I get a lot of Jewish questions, if that's a question. I always get Jewish questions. I'm the natural recipient of Jewish questions. There's good Jewish questions and there's silly Jewish questions. But I mean, there are no bad ones as long as they're asked with, positive intent. What's a Jewish question I get? That's my favorite questions I ever get is like how to announce Jewish things on television.
Like the pronunciation?
Or even holidays. One of my contributions is whenever it's Hanukkah, how do you say what day of Hanukkah it is? So it's very important. Lubavitch Rebbe thought it was important to make sure we're correct in the number of days it is. So if you say it's the 5th day of Hanukkah, does that mean tonight's the 5th day of Hanukkah or today was the 5th day of Hanukkah? So my contribution is that when you do that, tonight is the 5th night of Hanukkah. So if you're watching in the day, you know that today is 4 by subtraction, and tonight, when you light candles, it's 5. So nobody should light the wrong number of candles who's watching TV and trying to get information. That was something I was always saying, like that's, I was very proud of that.
Hold on, here's a very, very important topic.
Yeah.
A lot of people...
Bobby, how's all your questions very important? They're all or...
A lot of people are going to be watching this after... yeah.
Okay.
A lot of people are going to be watching this interview long after the election's already over. Even though we were going to release it before the election.
If I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
No. Not wrong, not right. I report news daily for a children's call-in show called
What's
The Loop.
it called?
It's called The Loop.
The Loop.
And they send me some of the questions. About 1,000 questions came in the last 6 weeks. But one of the questions that came in is like this little kid saying, I don't know if it was a girl, boy, like, hi, my name is Prince Aleo, whatever, from Jackson.
Fine.
She's like, what's going to happen if we wake up and Mamdani's going to win? Like, what's going to happen the next day? Like, these kids that are frightened. So let's say
they're frightened.
No, but what I'm saying is worst case scenario. Worst case scenario.
It's not going to be good, but it's not going to be as, the morning comes, and then the Jewish community in New York is going to have to figure out how to fight back and to protect themselves. I mean, we're not giving up and putting our hands in there and running away.
We shouldn't run to Miami.
I mean, some people will. Some people run to Miami. They'll run to Long Island. They'll run to New Jersey. They'll run to Connecticut. It's not just the people who are here. It's the people who are planning to buy here. I mean, if you're not vested that you have to live here now, you're definitely going to think twice about that purchase.
Let's play
But
devil.
if you're here, look at the French Jews. I'm always told the French are running out of France. I had the privilege. I was in France not long ago, and I was in Paris, and it's pretty vibrant, the Jewish community there. Everybody's running out? No. Some people are. It's a gradual progression of people leaving. It's not, it's like Flatbush. Flatbush today, in the Midwood area, it's not the place where young families are buying homes anymore. Syrians are...
The truck driver guy we had on 3 weeks ago, he had a whole thing about people in Flatbush now are not staying. They're running away to New Jersey.
They were running away for a long time. There's multiple reasons for it. It's not just because of Mamdani or the thought prospect. It's the cost of living in New York is high. The taxes are high. And the people are not buying here. I mean, the Syrian community, the Sephardic community is staying put. So they're picking up all the slack. But if the Syrians decided to move full steam to deal, I mean, it would be like, look at the Lower East Side today. I mean, how many people... I was just talking...
It's over.
How many people are left? When I was a kid and we went to the Lower East Side and visited it in the 80s, it was all Jewish. And then it was already on the way down. And now you're 40 years later, what's left? So maybe some of the buildings on the water, but I mean, nobody young is buying there. I mean, this is the progress of... East New York was once a bastion of Jewish life, and Hill Street in Boston, and in Montreal, St. Lawrence on the Main, Mordecai Richler, the famous author, wrote books upon books about Jewish life there. There's no Jewish people there.
Bruce.
I mean, gradually, today, the future of Jewish life in Tri-State is, places like Lakewood, in Muncie, the Five Towns, which is, Lakewood's good because Lakewood has room to expand. you just keep on. The neighborhood keeps growing. There's a lot of land. 5 towns is limited, but the 5 towns today is for the most part all Jewish.
I was recently at a mainstream media commercial conference about ads. I met this liberal Jewish guy, and he told me that you should know in the conservative right-wing WhatsApp groups, they're very anti-Semitic, more than the extreme left.
It's a big
What's your
problem on
comment
the
about
right
that?
today. It's a big problem. It exists. I mean, it's always been there. Haviv Rete Gur is a very good, very brilliant Israeli writer, if you're familiar with him. And he always says that anti-Semitism is always just below the surface. It's kind of like a pimple. And then all of a sudden, under a little pressure, a little here, all of a sudden it starts coming up. And
So on the extreme left or the extreme right?
Yeah, it's the difference between the extreme left and the extreme right is there's really no difference. The political world is a circle. It goes in a circle. So they meet sometimes at different places. But you have a lot of anti-Semitism was always on the right in the 50s. It was there, and then because of the rise of the evangelical Christian community, which was very supportive of Israel, and therefore, in turn, the Jewish community, in the 90s and on, and in 80s, 90s, and today, the evangelical Jewish community, Christian community, has not abandoned the Jewish community and Israel in particular.
Bruce, what's frightening me, and I always try not to use names.
Tucker Carlson was never a fan of
Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens. What in the world happened? These are people that 5 years ago I respected and thought they're good friends of the Jews.
I think Tucker Carlson makes for really good TV, but I think that Fox let him go, and now I know why. As far as Candace Owens goes, I mean, her career was made by Jewish people. It was made by Ben Shapiro and Dennis Prager. They took her and they made her and, made her. She made herself to a certain degree, but I'm saying she came up with their assistance. What happened? I heard she married some guy who doesn't like Jews. This guy Farmer, whose father thinks that she's nuts. And he's not.
He's not the one. He's not the one saying all the hatred.
Yeah, but he's not on TV. Where's it coming from? She didn't. I don't think she had those views before they got married. There was an article recently by somebody where they started detailing some of his views and his religious affiliations and how it's it's gotten into her.
Is she at a
she
point?
Doesn't really. I don't know if she really believes what she's saying, but I know
she
it's
at a
for
point
clicks.
of no return. She's at a point. Maybe she regrets it.
She's not living in this world. She said recently that Charlie Kirk's wife was in on the conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk. I mean, she's in a place where a lot of people end up, get put in and they don't leave without medicine and
Baker law,
like rubber rooms. I mean, she's not well. No, when you see a person say that kind of stuff, there's a genuine chemical mental imbalance. When a person says that the deceased's, because she was left out of this funeral, which she's angry about because she's nuts, okay? That she implies and infers or says outright that the widow of Charlie Kirk was involved was a co-conspirator in the conspiracy because she had a dream. She had a dream. She dreams. God comes to her in dreams, okay? And tells her these things. I mean, this is not well people. There's a lot of talented and brilliant psychiatrists. There's medicines today. There's places you can go, breathing exercises. Maybe she needs to take a walk. She's not well. She's really not well. I look at her and I actually feel bad for her.
And
sometimes. Tucker is much smarter than her. Tucker knows what he's doing. He's getting money from the Qataris. There's business to be made. There's money to be had. Lack of a better word, he's a... I don't want to use strong word. I mean, he's getting paid to say what he's saying. And
I
can use strong words.
He went to Russia. No, wait a second. He went to Russia 2 years ago. He got that 3-hour interview with Putin.
No, but I don't like to call people,
Wait. He had that 3-hour interview with Putin where he let Putin give speeches and ramble.
He goes to Putin to give speeches. I mean, Putin is a murderer. Putin is a very bad person. Even Donald Trump today realizes that dealing with Putin is it's not easy. And it's not like Trump doesn't want to end that war. He does. Putin's not a straight shooter. He's a liar. Tucker goes there, and he doesn't even ask Putin hard questions. Putin's like, where's the questions? Like, where's the tough questions? Maybe you want to come work for me. I mean, you're such a loyal fan. Tucker Carlson left Fox. He's making a lot of money. He's into this, they call it woke right. I call it this, like, very nationalistic. At the underbelly of a lot of movements is anti-Semitism. It's easy. It's easy to blame Jews for everything. Why? Because Jews exceed their size in terms of their success. They're overrepresented in the worlds of media, finance, the arts, medicine,
tech,
sciences, also income, in politics. So you're like, it's a small little group, and they're 30 or something percent of all the world's billionaires. They get the largest percentage of Nobel Prizes. And you go through all these in sciences and arts. Even now, I think the new Nobel Prize winner in economics is an Israeli. In the middle of all this, and so there's, Jordan Peterson, who I like very much, said recently that, anti-Semitism is the canary in the coal mine because anti-Semitism tells you the success of Jews in society has a lot to do, how did he put it? He said that as the society's ability to tolerate the success of Jews or Jewish contributions to society is a sign of the health of a society, because you have to tolerate a very successful minority. There's really no other minority. I mean, Asians have trouble now in New York too. Look what Mamdani wants to do to Asians. Okay, he wants to get rid of all those special schools. These people come here as immigrants. They work so hard. They work 7 days a week. They own stores, bodegas, dry cleaners, whatever jobs they can get when they arrive. They work hard. They live in small apartments. They fight so hard to get their kids into the elite schools in New York, knowing that those are the avenues to go to the best colleges on scholarship, and knowing that those are the best avenues to become doctors and to make a lot of money and to have good careers and to thrive. And they sweat blood to do it. Kind of like the way Jews did it, 80 to 100 years ago when they arrived.
In the tenements in the Lower East Side.
But they push their kids. They're very, very demanding on their children to succeed and to do well in school. And New York City public schools, because of these, the enriched or the fancy schools like Stuyvesant and Bronx Science and Brooklyn Tech and whatever, all these places, you have to apply to get in. And the kids from these Asian homes, from these Asian backgrounds, they work their kids very hard to get into those schools, because they know you get into those schools, you have a really good chance to get to a great school, like a Harvard or an Ivy League school or any other great school. So they push their kids very hard. And everybody's complaining it's not fair, it's not fair. What do you mean it's not fair? They work harder, they study harder, they get better grades, and they earn it. So now we have to get rid of those schools. Mamdani wants to get rid of those schools. It's not fair to the people who aren't doing very well because they're not getting in, so they're not being tolerated. So whenever you're successful and you work hard and you earn it, there's jealousy. And then there's people that say it's not right, and we have to dial it back. So when a society tolerates the success of minorities who exceed their size, it's the sign of a very healthy society. That's really an equal society.
So deep.
But then, so now when you're criticizing Jews, you're going after the schools where which is the footstool up for these children in these Asian homes all around New York and elsewhere. Well, it's a sign of an innate bigotry in society and a jealousy. I mean, there's jealousy. I mean, yes, if you go to Stuyvesant once upon a time, which is the best public school in the city, I think most of the kids were Asian. They far exceeded their proportion of the population. I feel bad for other kids who can't get in necessarily, but I mean, these kids work really hard to get there. And the parents push them really hard. Maybe they shouldn't. That's for another debate. But those kids are really the pride and joy. I mean, they come up over tremendous obstacles. Their parents, in many cases, don't speak English. Okay? They don't speak English at home. And they're just working their butts off just to get there. And, whether we tolerate that, instead of celebrating it as the triumph of the immigrant story, we're like, okay, we're going to take away that footstool up and we're going to create all these new rules and we're going to make it harder for you.
Bruce.
Harvard's doing it.
Bruce, where'd you come from?
I don't know.
Where'd you grow up? We didn't even talk about your background.
I grew up in Montreal.
Montreal, Canada.
So you don't know why you came from, Bruce?
I like it. It's good. I don't talk too much about this.
You don't want to talk about it?
No, there's nothing to talk about. I liked it. I met people. It seemed. I always say, why Lubavitch? Lubavitch, I answer, because they seemed like they were having more fun than everybody else. Growing up in a more modern Orthodox synagogue as a child, they weren't having all that much fun. It didn't seem that way to me, at least as a child. And then I go to Lubavitch, it's a big party.
And now?
No, they are. So? As you're getting older and you're raising kids, you start to see the advantages of that upbringing too. There are some perks to it. But when you're, in your teens and 20s, I mean, yeah, Lubavitch is where the party is.
So you needed fun, so you became Chabad.
I didn't need fun. I liked it. I took to it. I still take to it. I don't hold of myself as the holiest guy in the world, but I take to it.
Bruce,
I like the Rebbe very much also. I think the Rebbe had a very clear view of the world and the people who live within it.
What do you think about Meshachism?
Meshachism?
Yeah.
I mean, I told you many times. It's
Tell me. We have
it's nuts. Okay? It's nuts. it's nuts. I love the people. They're very nice. They're wonderful. They're warm. They're kind. But as a concept, it's wild. It's wacky stuff. It always seemed treif to me from day one. I never, they could have had any hashgacha outside the window. I didn't eat in the restaurant. It seemed bizarre to me. It still does. I mean, that said, I know people who are very passionate mishachistim, and they're very nice people. But, I mean, for me, I don't ascribe to it. And I would encourage other people probably not to also.
Cobb, you have a comment on that?
I have a comment on the whole Meshachist thing because I used to be really nervous about the extremists, but now I realize that there's thousands and thousands and thousands of youth that come from Israel. They hang out in 770 the entire Tishrei. They're pretending nothing ever happened. They act as if everything is the same. And I say to myself, then there's like not from kids that come to Space of Shea, but I hang out with guys and girls and do drugs. I say to myself, like, let them hang out in 770 and pretend Gimel Tammuz never happened.
I'm not
saying,
arguing
could it be?
that,
It's a good thing.
It's a realistic thing.
Could it be?
Not
It's a good thing.
practical.
Keep kids, anchored. The Rebbe, Miftzayim.
You can be anchored and connected to the Rebbe without believing there wasn't a Gimel Tammuz.
No,
I mean,
I'm saying
you don't have to go that route.
No, but for these thousands and thousands of youth, that this is like their prescription. This is what they do. I'm saying better that than being on the streets doing drugs. No, I'm saying
It's a question for people.
It's a great babysitting service.
It's a question for people outside my pay grade. Unfortunately, a lot of those people who ascribe to that, then they don't seem like they're not doing the latter as well when they come to Crown Heights, based on my views. So I think that's ascribing something to them that's not true. And I know many people who don't ascribe to Mishachism who live with the Rebbe's teachings in a way that's much more real and practical than people who get off a plane from Israel and party in Crown Heights, sleeping on benches for a month. So it's a varied mix. I don't criticize. I don't care for it. I don't ascribe to it. I don't criticize people who do it. But if you ask my opinion, I'm not a fan of it.
If you could push a button, and you could effectively be the owner of 770 Eastern Parkway, 770, 778, the whole complex, what would you do at 770?
Make it clean, clean it up. I mean, you're asking me. I don't live in Crown Heights. So for me to come and to give my opinions on what happens in Crown Heights, I'm not so.
Nobody has control over the place for 30 years.
Well, it's not going to be me, and I'm not trying.
What's ideal? Who should run the place?
Should be run by Aguch. I mean, all the different organizations that were supposed to be.
But they're not as passionate as the place as the Tzvatim. They're passionate.
Passion isn't always the best thing to get things done.
But they're there 24 hours a day.
That's not because a homeless guy sleeps on the street doesn't mean he should be in charge of Fifth Avenue. Just because a guy sleeps outside the plaza doesn't mean he should manage the hotel. I mean, let's be realistic. You need capable, talented people to take the place over. And the guy who sleeps on the bench should not be calling the shots. Sorry.
People try taking over.
Never. Anywhere he should be calling the shots.
People try taking over at 770, but the guys that are there 24 hours a day are not budging.
The guy who sleeps on the subway and rides the subway for 24 hours shouldn't be the head of the MTA. I mean, I just think it's crazy. I mean, there are people who have skills, who have knowledge, who are by the Rebbe, who should be the ones, and more often than not, calling the shots. Not people who get off a plane from Israel, decide that whatever they decide, show up, sleep on benches in 770 or whatever, and then they decide they're in charge of the place.
But you can't get control. You bring in the police, you bring in private security. You saw what happened. It's a fiasco. Nothing changes.
I don't want to have opinions on this. It's not something that I'm so invested in. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but my views are very clear. I'm not into it. I think it's bizarre. I've always thought it's strange. I'm sure they're very nice people, and I wish them well in whatever they're going to do in life, but me personally, keep me out of it. I want nothing to do with it. As far as cleaning up 770, I don't bring people. Listen, look at 770 today. Nobody davens in 770. You don't daven in 770.
I have my own shoulders, like 100 young shoulders in Crown Heights.
Why would you daven? Would you if you were in Israel? You wouldn't daven at the Kotel?
Sure, I do.
You would, right? But in 770, when was the last time you walked in?
I go for NYC Mayoral a lot.
Oh, you do? I know people who haven't walked in like years.
Sad.
Why? Well, it's a mess.
It's very holy.
It is. That's my point. But it should be handled by people who have some reverence to it. By the way, when you go to the Kotel in Israel, okay, talking about religious sites, or sites that are important from a perspective to people, it's pretty masudar.
It's very nice.
Very maintained. After the davening, somebody comes to pile up the chairs, cleans up any trash, make sure it's orderly. When the mechitzas, they need extras because they have more people. By Birchas Kainim, if you're there for Sukkot, they make sure there's more.
So, Bruce, I just want to
Seder is not the enemy of Kedusha.
You said
Okay?
you joined Chabad for the parties. I definitely think
No,
the
it seemed like
Meshachis
people. It wasn't
are
the
much
party.
more party-like
You
than
said
the
parties.
other side. I just want to
No,
make that
you
clear.
said you're using the word party. I'm saying fun.
More fun.
Lubavitch,
I think the Meshachis
Judaism
definitely
in
look like
Lubavitch
they're having
to
more
me
fun, Bruce.
was more alive. I always found it to be much more alive. It was more alive. There's an energy in Chabad that is very difficult to replicate, and it's very attractive. Whereby a lot of other forms, but today, I mean, but now I'm broader, and there's a lot of different movements that have things that are inspiring and moving. But at that time, Chabad really spoke to me as far as the excitement, the energy, not the parties. I'm not a drinker.
You said fun.
But fun is stuff that's interesting and exciting. I mean, fun. It seemed like everybody was having more fun. It was more alive. Lubavitch is alive. It's select
Still is.
Lubavitch, 100%. Lubavitch. Look at Chabad on campus. Look how successful Chabad on campus is. And today there's no alcohol in Chabad on campus. Thank God. Finally, that's been done away with for the most part. No, because it's dangerous. Kids get drunk. Who's responsible?
See,
But I'm saying you go to Chabad houses like Beryl Goldman at University of Florida.
Gainesville.
Gainesville. He is running a vibrant.
He's the poster child for success.
Not just, but he's not. He's the poster child for a very alive, living Judaism. And there are so many campus Chabad houses today, and there's a lot to sell. You don't have to go to Meshachism and anything related to it to get people excited about Judaism. The Rebbe was Jewish before he was anything else. Judaism is what Lubavitch is. Lubavitch is Jewish.
Bruce, I heard a vert you're going to go crazy over.
Sure.
I heard the Meshachistan took the biggest Rebbe and made him into a small klein of Mashiach.
Yeah, that's a Detroit. Detroit. It's nice to feel like I'm in Shabbos by the oil.
A guy from Gainesville, like a Reformed conservative guy, he was like complaining to me. He's like, Chabad, they make as if they represent Judaism. It's funny how the world changed that. The Reformed conservative Jews used to represent Judaism to the media, and now, typically
Chabad's everywhere.
That's it.
Chabad is everywhere. And the people want to say that like you need Meshachism to keep the quote unquote the Rebbe alive. No, the Rebbe lives through his disciples. He lives through the people who spread the message of authentic Jewish life and learning and teaching, and they have impacts on people in all different kinds of ways. I remember years ago, I went. When I first years ago, I was becoming more religious, talking over 20 years ago. They needed somebody to be an aide by a chuppah in Manhattan. So the wedding was short term. Rabbi Metzger, my dear friend in Manhattan, was
he the first Chabad guy you met?
Yes.
He's the first guy you ever met Chabad?
No, my grandfather was president of Lubavitch Yeshiva in Montreal for 45 years. It's not like we didn't have connections with Lubavitch. But I'm saying Rabbi Metzger called me and he says, Rabbi Gordon, the very special Rabbi Gordon, who's since passed away from California, Sheikh Tensino, who a lot of people listen to his classes.
My brother-in-law's father.
There you go. So Rabbi Gordon needed somebody to officiate at a wedding. So he was officiating the wedding. He needed an aide. He needed a kosher aide. I was Shomer Shabbos. So Josh called me in a pinch. He says, if you're available, you're free. There's a wedding downtown. They're short a kosher aid. They need a kosher aid under the chuppah. Rabbi Gordon's calling now. The wedding's in like 2 hours. Somebody was supposed to come, couldn't make it. Can you make it to the wedding? So I go to the wedding. I walk in, and I was a little nervous. I recognize people, not recognize people. I had a little bit of a beard. I was wearing a yarmulke. I don't know who I'm going to run into and what they're going to ask. I'm in a wedding, being an aide. I didn't know what this wedding was. I remember Rabbi Gordon gets up to give a speech under the chuppah, and he says, I want to welcome everybody to the wedding, and I want to invite everybody to be under the chuppah. He invited the parents. He invited the grandparents. There was a great-grandparent who was alive. And then he says, I'm inviting three generations of grandparents, the spirits and everybody's under the chuppah. It says that by the wedding, they're all there. And he says, in 1965 or 70, I was sent by the Lubavitcher Rebbe to be the shliach in California. And as his representative in California for the Chabad movement in this synagogue, I have the schus to invite under the chuppah the Lubavitcher Rebbe itself. I'm welcoming him also to bless you on this day, and all the other holy Gedolim Israel from Lubavitch going back many years. I was like, wow, it was a certain pride to it, and it gave me a bit of a stolz. It gave me a little bit of a boost because, you're part of something special, and everybody revered it. Everybody understood that Rabbi Gordon was a representative of the Lubavitcher Rebbe. He was sent there. He didn't do it in a Meshachis way. He didn't say inviting the Mashiach. None of this craziness. He said, I'm inviting this, and he says, and all the Rebbeim who came before him, and they're all welcome to be under the chuppah.
But he was a classy guy.
He was a real person.
Bruce, last question. How many calls do you get from rabbis or singers or magicians that want to be at your hotel?
Quite a few.
20, 30, 40?
Depends. Sometimes it depends. Sometimes I get rabbis I'm interested in. I got one this week from a rabbi I was intrigued. Usually I'm not. I have very good speakers by my program. And I was like, oh,
Do you ever speak, Bruce, or no?
I did years ago, but I don't anymore. No
Right.
one's paying to listen to me speak.
I would.
Nah, it's better speakers.
Well, hold on a second. Everyone's
Yoel
paying.
Gold, Rabbi
No,
Yoel
no, a
Gold
second.
comes to me.
They're
Simon
all
Jacobson
coming.
comes
One second.
to me.
Time out. They're all coming to hear you. That's why they're coming and not to everyone else.
They're not coming to hear me
Oh, yes, they are. Trust me.
speak. There's people who are better at speakers than I am.
Well, we're going to see from the podcast, based on views and likes,
Bruce.
who
Yeah.
comes for what.
Bruce,
Cosby.
somebody wakes up, God forbid,
Yeah.
and Mamdani wins. Could it be that it's like, Hikdim Refuah Lamako, like we have already the antidote, the medicine, the cure before it happens? Maybe we need things to get so bad that a guy like Giuliani could come like in the 80s and clean up New York once and for all and make it like a Trump-style New York.
I mean, this.
De Blasio was a disaster. All these guys, Bloomberg was a disaster. We need somebody
Why
like...
was Bloomberg a disaster?
I'll tell you why. Because he was so tough. Like every block, it was during his time that we got double parking tickets all day. That the city became so like totalitarian. I think he ruined New York forever.
That's the challenge.
Red
with-
light
with
camera,
running.
speed camera. He ruined the whole New York.
I mean, they're everywhere today. They're not.
No,
just
I
in New
feel
York.
like it was during his time, like life became like non-livable during Bloomberg, but it was still safer. But I'm just saying, he was a fake. He's more socialist than, even though he's a trillionaire. But my point is, we need a guy like Giuliani to come back into New York City and make the place normal again. I ride the
Who's
train
going
every
to
day.
vote for him?
What I'm saying is that if Mamdani wins, things are going to finally.
I'm going to say something positive about Andrew Cuomo. I had the privilege of working for George Pataki when I was younger, and he's a person that I admire tremendously. He is, the gold standard of politicians. The nicest, kindest, most thoughtful, he's an amazing...
Pataki?
He's an amazing...
Haven't heard his name in years. Where's he hiding?
He's retired. He's an older man. He's almost 80. I go every year. We make a reunion of all the staff who worked for him on 9/11, and I get to see him once a year. And I know his wife, and I knew his kids. Emily was a friend of mine. We used to work together. And I saw Emily this year, actually, for the first time in years. But I have a lot of old friends there, and every time I go to this event, everybody's getting older.
He lives in Poughkeepsie? Where does he live?
No, he lives in Garrison. I think he keeps an apartment in the city, maybe. Probably at this point not, but he used to. He has a place upstate on Lake Champlain, which he goes to in the summers, in Essex, which I know he loves, and I believe he still has it. He may keep an apartment in the city but he lives in Garrison. If he needs to come back and forth to the city, he'll come back and forth. So George Pataki is the gold standard of fine people and was a great governor. Ask anybody who was here in those years; those were good years. But now you have to talk about Andrew Cuomo in his defense. For people who are looking for something to vote for, I dislike what he did with COVID. I dislike a lot of the things that happened at that time. I don't think it was based on an anti-Semitic charge versus Jewish community. I think it was just a very difficult time and people made bad decisions. I think he made bad decisions. That said, before COVID, which was unprecedented, Andrew Cuomo embarked on the greatest infrastructure improvements in the state of New York of almost any governor. George Pataki has the 9/11 memorial, that whole area down there. That's a big achievement. But, under Andrew Cuomo, you had the renovation of Penn Station, which was something that had been talked about for 50 years from the days of Senator Moynihan. You had East Side access finally from Long Island Railroad to Grand Central, which was a huge, huge help to the city. You had the building of the 2nd Avenue subway. You had the renovation of the Cachuco Bridge in Brooklyn, the one that's on
Casa Cusco.
Whatever it's called. That bridge. You had the fixing of the Tappan Zee Bridge. You had the fixing of LaGuardia Airport. You had the startings of the renovation of JFK Airport. There was a series of things that were done in this city while he was governor, or in this state, that were projects that were literally pipe dreams for decades. For a variety of reasons, from political to financial to Washington to getting the money to getting the people.
Doesn't get any credit.
He doesn't get any credit for it. So when people say, is he going to be a good mayor? I think New York City can use a lot of infrastructure improvements. And I think if you're looking for someone who's able to get those things done, Andrew Cuomo is really, somebody who brings a lot of credibility to the table on these issues.
Thank you so much. It's been really enjoyable. We all had a great time.
I appreciate it. I hope I didn't talk
I think
too
we're gonna
long.
have you come back for a second episode.
No, whatever. I don't know.
We didn't even scratch the surface.
And hopefully other media organizations will see how talented you are and maybe give you
Nah.
a front-facing position.
I appreciate having you. I just want to encourage anybody. The reason I wanted to do this now is if anybody's watching this, make sure you get everybody to vote. If you can vote, get people to the polls, help them get to the polls. It's very, very important that we stand strong and we vote against what is unfortunately a big threat to our way of life in the city
you have
of
to
New
vote
York.
for Cuomo.
You have to vote for
A Curtis
Cuomo.
vote is a Mamdani vote.
A Curtis vote is a Mamdani vote. Not showing up is a Mamdani vote. Squandering your ballots is a Mamdani vote. You
Can
got
remind people to subscribe.
Subscribe and like our channel. Just so easy. Just hit the button. Subscribe, like, comment, forward, share.
Also,
everything.
I just want to make a quick thing. If you make a comment on this week's episode, we will put in a raffle to get a ticket in either Ferox Indoor Entertainment Center, our sponsor this week, and or Area 53, a great paintball indoor place in Brooklyn. Both great places.
We're gonna have links. We're gonna have links. We're gonna have a
Links,
code. We have a
code,
code.
paint-
Paintball?
Have a code?
Paintball's fun.
Yeah, indoor
What do we have?
paintball. Huge.
7 entertainment centers.
A ton. Great people.
And anybody that uses our code gets how much percentage off?
15% off.
15%.
So we're going to put in a
Ching.
raffle. Whoever comments in the section, this is the first time we're doing it. They suggest it, so we're doing it, and they're a sponsor, so we love them. We love anyone who's a
Who owns
sponsor.
Ferox?
Great family, and thank you so much.
Where's Ferox exactly? Tell people where it's
Oh,
located. I
in
don't even know.
Dumbo,
I'm interested now.
Greenpoint and Williamsburg. They have a bunch of locations. We'll put it all in the
There's gonna be a
information.
video in the
Yeah, there's a
episode.
sponsor of a great. Yes. Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
I'm going
Thank
to
you
check
so
it out
much.
myself.
You bet.
Thanks. I hope that was okay.
And then they have another monster room. Say 50 feet tall ceilings of a paintball, indoor paintball. We have to drive all the way upstate to someplace. Took these containers to make little spots and just shoot around. Really cool. Two floor. Come check it out. Area 53 Adventure Park. Mention Clappy Frank code 15% off. And then they say, hey, people actually watch the Clappy Frank and we need to support them more. So please do it.